Say hi to everybody that's out there, and welcome for those that are tuning into the AlignUs podcast today. We're going to be talking about step 5 of the conscious creation model, which is investigating our beliefs and identifying which ones need to be changed to really help us create the life of our dreams and manifest whatever it is that our heart truly desires. And just so grateful for everybody that's out there, that's listening, that's tuning in, that's tuned in the past. We're just trying to build a community here that's based on unconditional love, that's based on support and helping each other grow. We're not meant to do this life alone. And just so grateful for those that are out there and that have been supporting us on our journey. We've accomplished some really great things, and looking to really just help others. That's part of the mission here, is to help others raise to their higher vibration, and getting out of those lower vibrations of guilt and shame, and getting into love, courage, to be able to do the things that we're meant to do in this lifetime. So if you have any questions during this podcast, just make sure to put that in the comment section. We'll try to get to them. And if you want anything on topics in the future, just let us know. And we love to do anything that everyone is resonating with. And again, just grateful to have you guys all here with us today. Welcome to the AlignUs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikhil Sharma, and I'm so grateful to have you guys here with us today. Over the last 2 years, I've made the difficult transition from being a physician and working in a hospital to creating mission-led businesses that are rooted in mindfulness, purpose, and aligned living. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about step 5 of the conscious creation model. Which beliefs do we need to change? And joining us to discuss that topic is the excitement whisperer, the author of The Best Life Ever, and the creator of the 5-step conscious creation model, Taylor Wells. Welcome, Taylor. So glad to have you back with us today.
Thank you, Nick. It's wonderful to be here, Dr. Nick. And thanks also again to everyone who's joining us. It's all right if you just join us today and you don't really understand what you're talking about. We have other podcasts before this that explain the first 4 steps. And I also refer to them a lot. So you're not behind, you're exactly where you need to be.
Well, why don't we just start right there, Taylor, and just go over the first 4 steps of the conscious creation model, which leads us to today's topic.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, first of all, please remember that anything that I ever say, please take what you prefer and leave the rest. Okay, so if it resonates, keep it. Maybe tuck it in your back pocket for another time, or if it doesn't resonate, just let it go. Okay, it's all about what resonates for you. What is your permission slip that works? So step 1 of the conscious creation kit, which is simply a description of how reality is formed, is created, is to follow your highest excitement. Step 1. And I'll define that at the end, highest excitement. Step 2 is to take action on your highest excitement. We live in 3D, third density, and this is an action-based, dense physical planet. You need to take action. Step 3 of the conscious creation kit is to always maintain a positive outlook as you are taking action, which is the step 2, and take it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Step 4, which is where most people find the most challenge and opportunities for growth, is to let go of all attachment to the how, the when, the where, and the who of your highest excitement unfolding. Other people call that manifestation. I do use the word manifestation, but not as much lately, since it's kind of become the new black dress and people really misunderstand how it works. So I love questions about that. Step 4, again, is to let go of attachment to how it shows up, whatever it is. Step 5, which is our topic today, is to be curious about your beliefs, which are inhibiting steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And the reason why it's a great idea and part of the 5 steps to be curious about these beliefs is that your beliefs are the cornerstone. They're the foundation of your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. Okay, so I call it beta, so you can remember it. So it's your beliefs, your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. So you want to be curious first, and then investigate. What must I believe to be true? To, and we'll go over that now. But those are the 5 steps.
I love that. And so you're speaking about beliefs. How do you define a belief and why are they so important in the conscious creation model?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, how you define a belief is that basically, I'll just start from when you step on, or you know, step on, but when you come onto this earth, right? So you decide your entry and exit points of when you're going to take your first breath and your last breath. And when you are born, you are a totally blank slate. All right, you're a white canvas. Now, the amazing thing about that, everyone, is that actually every single moment you are, again, every moment, it's actually multiple times a moment, but we'll be simple. You are, again, a blank slate. You're a white, beautiful canvas. However, because of the fact that we accrue beliefs, which I'm going to define, from the second we're born till this now moment, right? That canvas becomes filled with lots and lots of colors, and they have textures, and they have shades and hues and everything, right? And those beliefs come from many things. So we're spoon fed them from, of course, our parents and our extended family, our friends, our teachers, etc. Socioculturally, we begin to carry the baggage of others. Maybe it's not something that we actually truly believe from our heart, right? As a young child, but we begin to hold those beliefs for others. How we know it is a true belief for us is very simple. It feels good. Yeah. It makes your heart sing. Hence why the first step is to follow your highest excitement, because your higher mind, right? So you have your lower mind who's here on planet Earth, in the soil, in the mud, in the dirt, and is kind of your mental mind. And then you have your higher mind who's on the mountain, who is your soul and spirit, who is eternal. And that soul or spirit decided to come here to this earth school. All right. And that soul and spirit knows it's infinite, knows it is unconditional love, and it is light. Okay. Those are beliefs you come in with. I am light, I am love, and I am loved. So love is what you are born with, Nick. Fear is what you learn here.
Oof. That was so well said, and that resonated extremely deep for me. I was reading something recently where it said that by the time you're 7 years old, 95% of your subconscious is formed, which is all rooted in your beliefs. And now that comes directly from your parents, society, media, your environment that you grew up in. And then you learn things such as success equals money and status. It is selfish to put other people first. You must accomplish these things by a specific age or you're considered a failure. The best way to move in life is the one that is the safest and the most secure. Now, how many of those beliefs are people resonating with right now? I know I can say I resonated with all 4 of those beliefs. And when that was indoctrinated in me at a young age, I was just set up on my path. Because at that time, I wasn't conscious. I inherited those beliefs from those that were around me that taught me what their beliefs were. And so I started living my life based on those specific beliefs. And for a while, everything seemed to be going really well because everyone also around me were living the same exact way. So for me, I thought that these are the right beliefs to live in order for me to become happy and successful. But then you'll realize over time that those beliefs don't start resonating with you anymore. All of a sudden, you get to the age of 35 and you're not married and you don't have a certain amount of money in your bank account, and you start feeling really bad about myself. And you're like, wait, there was a belief that I had at a young age that told me that if I don't achieve certain things by a certain age, then I'm considered a failure. Now I can go on and continue to believe that that belief is true, which makes me feel like crap right now and makes me feel guilty and shameful for not accomplishing what that belief that was set inside of me. Or I can learn to be like, who taught me that belief in the first place? Are those people happy at this certain age right now? So it's really imperative for us to first understand what are those societal beliefs that have been ingrained with us, and realize and recognize those beliefs were started at such a young age that we have just been running on autopilot from the beginning based on those core beliefs. And now, as we've gotten older, we now have an opportunity to question each one of those beliefs. And instead of inheriting them, as Taylor likes to say, we can choose them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I have so many, I love everything you said, and I have so many things to comment on. First of all, so Dr. Nick said, okay, you hit 35 and you don't have, whatever the check boxes you were supposed to check. I also have clients, everybody, I've been doing this for about 25 years, who have all the boxes checked. All right. And they are not happy when they come to me. They hate their life. They feel depressed. They feel or sad. I call it compressed. We'll do a whole podcast about that. Some come, they feel like they want suicidal. They don't want to live, etc. So it's the whole spectrum of between, you hit 35 and like none of the boxes are checked, or some of them are, or all of them are, and why do I feel so empty? So that's number one. I know some people are going to resonate with that. Number two, when we show up as a little baby, we agree, okay, before we come in, this is an incredibly rich school that is very intense and challenging. Okay, so some people come to me and they say, why did I ever choose to do this? And I say, because there's immense opportunity for growth here. And so we actually agree, everybody, to forget it all. And so Dr. Nick is exactly accurate that we're completely blank, as I said at the beginning, but we do have memory, because you hear people say, oh, she's an old soul or he's an old soul. That's yes and no, because all souls are the same age, because we're all eternal. Okay. Some souls or spirits may have, this isn't their first rodeo on earth, right? So there are many dimensions and places we can exist. And that's also a different podcast. But the bottom line is we show up, we have no memory. The one thing we know is we are love, and not just love, unconditional love. And we are unconditionally loved. We know that. Now, I'm getting total chills saying this. I hope someone else is too. So when you spend any time with a baby, you know this. Watch that baby, okay? That baby knows. They're just like, talk to the hand, give me some food, give me this, give me that, and I love you so much, and now I want to sleep, and I'm going to scream till I get, they're not afraid to ask for anything, and they're so magnetic and wonderful, assuming they've been treated well. Of course, I deal with a lot of people who've been through trauma, which is another podcast. It's, by the way, it's never too late to begin your happy life, ever, ever, ever. See, that's a synchronicity right there, honking for us.
That's right. Yeah.
So those are two things that off the top of my head, but I had like 5 other things that I thought of, but continue and we'll see where this goes.
Well, I think, some of the stuff that starts coming up and I start thinking about is that how do you know if a belief is protecting you versus if a belief is limiting you?
Great. Perfect question. I love all these questions. So first of all, and this reminds me of something else you said that I wanted to touch on. So how do we know if a belief is serving us, essentially, right?
Yes,
Is it serving us? I will go broader.
Yeah.
So there's a very interesting mechanism called the motivational mechanism. Now, I don't usually use the word motivation. I use the word inspiration. That's all in my book. But for this example, this is something that every human being has. Yes, even you, everyone. It's called a motivational mechanism. What that means is you and I will never, ever, ever, ever do anything, take action on anything unless we believe. Frankie, don't jump up here. My cat wants to jump up here. Unless you believe it serves you. Okay. So we have a belief that something serves us or we will not do it. So that seems okay, whatever. That's not so profound. Oh my God. Well, Frankie's up here. Here we go.
Hey, Frankie. Hey.
Hold on. Hey,
You're fine.
Oh, this is Frankie, Frank Sinatra. He wants attention. So if we believe something serves us, we will do it. Now, that makes sense. That's not so profound. Well, think about people who are addicts, people who, do things that in our mindset is obviously not going to help them. Well, they somehow have curated a belief that says this serves them. Possibly they believe that if I, probably they're self-medicating or, whatever, they're a trauma survivor and they're just trying to survive. They're doing et cetera, et cetera. So what's really important in step 5 is to understand that any time that a belief is serving you, okay, it will unfold in your life in amazing positive ways. It may not be immediate, however. So for example, and this is where step 4 comes in, timing, divine timing. So for example, you may, get really clear and kind of know the difference between, excitement and anxiety. I get that question a lot. Well, how do I know? Your question is similar. Like, how do we know if a belief serves us or doesn't? How do we know if we're excited or anxious? Like sometimes people make up in their brain, like, oh, I'm so excited about this, right? I'm sure you did to get through medical school. I love this, I'm excited about, but deep down, you didn't feel that way, right? But you had all these layers of beliefs that were keeping you from that core belief that, yes, you want to help people and look at you. However, that avenue wasn't your highest excitement. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate, actually. And I love the way you describe like the layers of beliefs that prevent you from getting to the core of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. For me, was helping and healing individuals, but the layers that were in front of that were taught to me at a very young age that the only way that you can do that is by becoming a physician.
The only way. That was the only way. And when there's a belief like that, I would be curious about it. That's the only way. When I was doing my doctoral internship in psychology at Harvard University at the Bureau of Study Council, that's a lot of words. I was almost my whole caseload was filled up immediately with people with eating disorders because previously, after my master's program, I had worked with pregnant addicts in Roxbury, Massachusetts, at Dimmock Community Health Center, and as a half-time job. The other half, I worked at MEDA, which is Massachusetts Eating Disorder Association. So 2 very different populations. So what was very fascinating was in each population, so with the eating disordered, very high SES clients, they had some beliefs that were very, very specific. So for example, well, I'm going to help people and I can only be a doctor. Their beliefs were about eating and food and their bodies. And if I told you some of the beliefs they had, I mean, it's jaw-dropping, and they really believe these things. Then on the other hand, the pregnant addicts who were, addicted to crack cocaine and pregnant, I mean, they weren't doing the crack when they were in the program, but the point is they had very specific beliefs about their addiction, all right? And both of these populations really believed that these things were true. And when I taught them all about this, it became clear that those beliefs had layers, right? So there was originally a belief like, I need to protect myself. Like I'm scared, I'm in pain, so maybe, I'll do this drug, or maybe I'll just, starve myself or throw up or whatever they were doing. So, and then there became layers and layers, and it's almost like a Trojan horse, right? Where you get to one belief and you let it go and you're like, oh, I feel so much better. and you're like doing better with whatever your behavior, your action is. And then you're doing it again. And you're like, wait, why am I doing this again? Well, there's another belief, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of sneakily still there. So how do I know if a belief, back to your original question, Nick, Dr. Nick, is serving me? Well, it's going to be unfolding in a positive way in your life immediately. Now, again, it may not be immediately in 3D that you have that job or that, person of your dreams or that, healthy body or whatever you're, choosing, preferring, and resonating with. However, you will feel better / really good immediately, because this existence is now. There's no such thing as the past. It's not real, and there's no such thing as the future. There's only this moment. So when we are focused on the past, regret, remorse, disappointment, chip on your shoulder, you are not present to receive the gift that following conscious creation is offering you now. It's now. If you're not home, it can't give it to you. So how do you know? You're immediately feeling at least relief, all right? And in time, it just keeps getting better. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And something that you said also resonated with me in the sense that our beliefs shape our biology. Think about how long that we've had our beliefs ingrained in our system. I said since we were 7 years old. So that's 30 some years of constant neuronal connection that has been layered and layered again and again with that belief. And so if you try to do something that is different than what your belief has already connected for you, it gets scary. It triggers your fight or flight response to kick off and be like, whoa, what are you doing? This isn't what we're used to. This isn't what our belief is. And so immediately your system goes back to what it knows and goes back to that same belief thought pattern, because it has been shaped and neuroplasticity has kicked in over that time period. So first, I want people to understand that it's not just that easy for us to change, because we've been wired to be a certain way for so long. It is inherited in us, or is programmed in us to be a certain way. So recognize that when you do try to change a belief, there is going to be a little resistance. It is going to feel a little anxious or a little nerve-wracking to try to be and act a different way, because of the programming that we've had for so long. And so once you become aware of that, you'll then start noticing yourself feeling a little safer in being in new types of beliefs and emotions, because that's what our nervous system craves. That's what we crave, is safety. And if that safety means being in an old stuck pattern that has caused us misalignment, so be it, because it's a known misalignment. It's a known way of being. But if we want to change, understand that your brain and your nervous system needs some time to catch up and learn a new way of being and learn a new belief. I can tell you right now, one of the things that I suffer from was I'm not good enough or worthy enough to be a CEO of a tech entrepreneur or business. I didn't go to school for it. I went to school to be a doctor. So that belief had to be changed in order for me to be comfortable being here in front of you guys right now. And that process took, at least for me, 6 to 9 months of constant affirmations, constant rewiring, a constant way of living. It doesn't just happen overnight. So for those that are listening out there, give yourself an understanding that unlearning a belief, unlearning a way of being, it takes time. And one of the biggest things that played a factor for me is environment. And so I wanted to ask you, Taylor, what role does our environment and community play, especially with the clients that you've had and been around, that continues to enforce or make it harder for us to change our beliefs?
That's a great question. First, I'm going to dig into a belief that you stated, which is valid and will provide a lot of relief for a lot of people. However, it's also just a belief. For example, because this shows you how beliefs work, okay? So what Dr. Nick stated about the timing of his letting go of deep-rooted beliefs is true. It's vulnerable, it's honest, it provides relief to a lot of people who are like, I can't do that. They have their own stories. I'm now choosing not to speak for most inner critics. I mostly just speak for the higher minds, but sometimes I give little examples. However, I'm gonna throw you a curveball here to show you how our brains are tricky. All right. So all that is true, what I just said. Yes. It's also true that it's just a belief, and actually, it is possible, and I've lived it and I've seen it with clients, that you can choose to change very quickly, if not immediately. And everyone has seen this. Have you ever seen someone who just goes cold turkey? And you're like, I have no idea how they did this, right? So start to notice. And once you kind of think about, and by the way, your critics are going to argue with me right now. They're going to be like, she's full of shit, blah, blah, blah. And that's okay, because guess what? Everything is valid and true. However, I was trained in psychology, and I have, many very close friends who are psychologists, et cetera. It's a wonderful field. And also, I was taught a lot of things that I see are beliefs. And, sometimes the process is just literally understanding the 5 steps, finding the belief, and then choosing and saying, I choose this. And sometimes my clients will say, but I want my process. And I'll say, so have your process. You get to choose whatever you prefer. However, just know that choosing to let go of a belief immediately is also valid and possible. Is it probable? Yes. That depends on you. And again, what Dr. Nick said is true. It's valid. And for many of my beliefs, it actually was accurate for me. For some of my beliefs, I just chose, once I saw the belief in the pattern, I thought, why would I choose anything else? It doesn't make sense. And once it doesn't make sense, it's gone. There is no process. Now, again, psychology doesn't teach you that. It teaches there has to be, even when you decide, I'm happy, I'm done seeing my therapist, they want to talk about it. It's like, no, I'm done, right? So again, psychology therapy is a wonderful profession. Wonderful healing, helping people. However, my belief is that every single human heals themselves. It's that you provide the opportunity in the container. So I've never healed anyone. I provide, I speak for the higher mind of my clients, okay? And they use me as a permission slip to listen to themselves. I am speaking what they know. All right. And they love to attempt to give me, oh, you changed my life. No, I didn't. I tell them immediately, you changed your life. I could talk all day long. If you don't take action, all right, nothing's going to happen. So I love what Dr. Nick said, because some of you guys are going to take action and you're going to, oh, forget it. It didn't happen immediately. Forget it.
No.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I resonate with everything you're saying here, because there was a point where I eventually realized that whatever beliefs that I had before, whatever way I was living life before, I could no longer sustain that type of living. And so I immediately surrendered the thought process of anything I had in the past, that the way I was doing things was not for my highest good at this point anymore. And so when I surrendered all those old self-limiting belief patterns and ways of living, I was like, all right, I need to start fresh. But what I didn't realize at that point was that, okay, I now have a more open mindset, that I can change and do new things and be another person and live a life that's more aligned with what I'm trying to accomplish at the age of 40 moving forward. What I didn't realize was that it doesn't mean that your current reality that's right in front of you is going to change right away. And so
that's step 4.
It was the recognition at that point to realize that the current reality that I have, even though my beliefs have now shifted, is just a snapshot of your past. And
Yes.
so there are still going to
Yes.
be people, environments, situations that you are going to encounter that are going to be challenging for you. Because now that you have this new belief pattern, you're still in that same reality. And so being in that same reality, you're going to start encountering your family, your friends that you've all grown up together with that have similar beliefs that you used to have. But now those beliefs begin to trigger you. They begin to cause you to have some anxiety.
Yeah.
Those same people and environments start looking at you differently. Like,
yes, they do.
what's wrong with you? Why are you thinking this way? What happened to you? Are you okay? Are you crazy? These are some of the things and challenges that will start happening to you when you change your beliefs because your reality hasn't changed yet. And so I think it's very important for everyone to understand that changing beliefs can happen immediately. You can choose, like Taylor said. But the real challenge becomes when you do change that, your environment is still the same that's in front of you. And in order for you to get to where you need to be, sometimes your environment is going to need to change. The people in your life may not be this in your life any longer, or their priority, which used to be really high, will maybe sink to a lower priority because you guys are no longer aligned on the same vision, the same beliefs, the same core values. Because that's how our friends or at least our friends are formed, is because they're based on a core values and beliefs that we have. Those are your friends. Now, if you want to have friends that are different core beliefs and values, well, that's going to mean that you're going to need a change, and that change may trigger people. That might bring you back into being stuck in that same environment because, again, you'll hear some nasty things. So just be prepared for all this when you're going out to change. It sounds so bizarre, right? Because you're like, well, why do people want just me to be happy?
Support me. Why wouldn't they be happy?
They don't.
Because you know why? It's because, spot on the whole way. And so first of all, the reason why, so everyone, my belief that the belief from which I always operate is everyone is doing the best they can and they mean well. Okay, I mean everyone, because I operate from unconditional love and light. So, and why? Because it feels better. At the end of the day, I just do what feels good. I'm always following my highest excitement. So when people say to me, thank you so much for this, or I go, it's my highest excitement, or I wouldn't be doing it. And you're welcome. I always say that. My clients will laugh when they hear this because I always say that. Now, the reason why people do that, I have so much to say about this. First, we'll start with that. Is you've heard the expression, for a reason, misery loves company. All right. And the reason that's true is not because people are malevolent. As I just said, they're doing the best they can. It's because like attracts like, and it feels comfortable, right? So similarly, I'm going to talk about your inner critic, who, when you decide, like, this is BS, like, this is not who I am, I just decide right now, I choose this, no process, I'm etc. Right? Your critic is very smart. Your critic is not wise. Remember, your critic isn't up here, but your critic is crafty, I'll say, and manipulative. And we'll say, ooh, are you sure you want to do that? Because remember, your critic is only working with the past, which, as I described earlier, isn't a thing. It's actually not real. So your present, how I am now in this now moment, defines my past. The universe, your higher mind, doesn't care what you've done in the past. So if a client is telling me, and I'll say, I don't care. What is it that you prefer now? Well, 10 years ago, I don't care. Tell me what you prefer. I have to keep bringing back to now. Now, the universe is just looking at you now, Dr. Nick, and saying, okay, here's Dr. Nick, given this. It's just attraction, right? That's law of attraction. That's one of the universal laws. Your critic will say, oh, wait a minute, and try to rope you in to those old beliefs, old patterns, which, let's be real, there is some comfort in them, right? There's a reason they call it comfort food, right? Yeah, comfort food is comfortable for a moment, and then you feel sick, and maybe you're unhealthy and you're tired, and but for that moment, it's comfortable. So similarly, it's like, oh, but I know that you really don't, I know that you're really miserable and depressed, but the devil is better than the devil you don't. And first of all, there isn't even a devil, but that's a funny saying. So you're those old patterns will start to, when you get really scared, as Dr. Nick said, when you decide, all right, I am surrendering, which just means you're surrendering the control that you never had, the control that was mental. Okay, the control that you have is that reality is an illusion, and you create it with your beliefs. That's the control you have. You have no control over. The power of that's the power of illusion. Excuse me. The illusion of power is, if Dr. Nick would just do this, I would be happy, and then I force this to happen, and then now I'm happy. No, you're not. Now you have to force something else to happen, something else. It's the power of illusion, which is the entire world is your creation, right? And when you let go of that illusion of power, there's a surrender, there's a letting go. And Dr. Nick is right. Your friends and your family and your acquaintances will notice, and some will be like, wow, what are you doing? Some will look at you like you're crazy. Some will say you're crazy. And some will tell you downright that this is a bad idea. Okay, so you'll have the whole gamut. Remember, they're all doing the best they can. And remember that your critic will draw this in, so will your higher mind, like on high. Why? To test you. All right. Do you really choose this or not? Or are you choosing it to get a result? The key is choose it, choose to change your belief. All right. Just for the sake of changing your belief, not to get a result. Because what will happen sometimes is you don't get the result as quickly as you believe it'll come. And then you go back to the old habits, back to the old life. And then you're even more miserable because now you have awareness and you're living in that low, dark energy. Does that, any of that make sense?
No, all of that makes sense. That all makes sense. So, like, over time, you realize that it takes time for us to go through this process of change and putting ourselves out there and living a new way with our new beliefs. There are ways, and our nervous system likes to be comfortable. It reverts back to old patterns, old ways of being. We've been indoctrinated in this for 30, 40 years. So understand that we can easily subconsciously slip back to old patterns. But as we work our way through this and listen to new ways of being, new thoughts, new processes, we come to an understanding that change takes time. There's evolving natures of of ways of being, and so listening to people like Taylor will help guide you along those waves. And the one thing I've realized about beliefs, that they're the most powerful thing we can put in ourselves and put out into the world. Our beliefs are more important than the strategies that we use to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. Because if I didn't have the belief that I was worthy to run a company that could potentially help billions of people in the world, if I didn't truly believe that I'm worthy of this position, well, then I would self-sabotage everything along the way and would never be able to launch a company that would be capable of doing it because I didn't believe I was worthy enough for that. So
why? From the structure. Do you remember why? Because your belief is the foundation, right?
Exactly.
And then the action is fourth. If you don't have that belief, you could memorize stuff. You could take drugs so you felt positive. You could say affirmations. You could take action. You cannot succeed. It's not possible because your belief is flawed.
That's exactly right. Your beliefs are the foundation from which you grow from. So if it's not resonating with every cell in your body that you deserve to be in a certain position or live a certain lifestyle, then eventually that foundation will crumble and fall. So that's why it's important for us on a daily basis to reaffirm, to visualize, to let ourselves know that, hey, I deserve to live the life of my dreams. That life of my dreams can look like this, and this. I can have anything I choose and desire to, because in my foundation, my belief tells me that I'm worthy of having it. No,
Yes.
despite what my education is, despite my background and how I grew up, all the experiences that I went through in life makes me worthy of being right here, right now, to have the experience to accomplish everything my heart sets out accomplishing.
Let's give a tool right now, a real life tool to do this, okay?
That's exactly what
I
you
love
read my mind.
That's called telepathy.
Yeah, telepathy. Yes, I love it.
So no, it's telepathy, because we're
telepathy.
empathically, we're actually thinking the same thought. I didn't read your mind, because we're at the same vibration. And that actually answers another previous question, which I remember, which is environment. What if your environment is a certain way, and you've kind of made all these changes and you've transformed? What do you do? Well, the universe will take care of that, everybody. If you are following my formula, the 5 steps of conscious creation, you do not at all have to make a boundary. You don't have to take action on these things. Your job is, are you ready? Your job is to be you, authentically you. That's it. And there's nothing harder ever to do than be someone you're not. And there's nothing easier than being yourself. It's just if you're attracted to this information and it resonates, you're good to go. Follow the steps. They're very simple. If you think they're complicated, that's your ego, your lower mind saying this is too hard. No, it's not. It's so simple. Then it'll say, this is too easy. It's too easy. So that's the critic, right? So the bottom line is, if you're being you, Nick is correct. People are going to get off the bus. People are going to get on the bus, but you don't have to control any of it. In fact, you cannot. It is not your business, number one, and you can't do it. So don't just focus on you being your bright, shiny self, and your only job is to be you. And then everything else will fall into place, because your excitement is going to guide you. Why? Because your excitement is your higher mind. It is you. That's the language with which he, she, or they speak. Here's the tool, okay? So you're like, all right, this kind of makes sense. I like, a lot of what they're saying, and some of it's going over my head. One of my clients says to me, Taylor, I got about 40% of what you just said. And I'll say, that's good. That's good. And listen back again, because all of this information, everybody, is holographic, which means every time you listen to it. So when I'm speaking to you and to Dr. Nick, I'm emanating a lot more than words. It's an energy, it's a vibration. And as you listen, you're taking in many other things besides the English words, and it unfolds like a time release capsule over time, as your higher mind is open to, your higher mind's always open, as your lower mind kind of lets the valve open, because your lower mind sometimes blocks it, like, that's too much, she's too much, he's too much, whatever. It's all right, because that's a good thing, because it's kind of, you cannot receive what you're not ready for. Okay, so listen to this a few times. All right, here's the tool. Ready? So this makes sense, and you're like, all right, this, follow my excitement. I don't even know what the hell that means. All it means is in any moment now. This is always now. What you have a few choices, right? Right now, I assume you're listening to this podcast because it was your highest excitement. I'm going to assume that. When you finish listening, you have a few choices. You can do some work, you can take a walk, you can call a friend, you can have a meal, you can read a book, you can take a nap, etc. You can go to the gym. You can listen to the podcast again. So whatever in that list, that was even too many things. Whatever lights you up, okay? Not from your mind, like, I have to do those emails. No. From like what feels best right now. And at first my clients, they're concerned, will the emails ever get done, or will the work ever get done? And I explain that yes, it actually gets done really quickly when you're in alignment with it. But if you're forcing yourself and you're not in alignment, it's going to be drudgery. All right. So follow that. Step 1. Step 2, take action. Step 3, go as far as you can. So if you've called the friend, right, the phone call ends, it's done. Go to the next thing. What do I feel like doing? This is training. Okay, I used to be a competitive tennis player. You're hitting the backhand. You've been trained, as Dr. Nick said, to just work, grind, make money, all those things. I'm not going to give energy to it. You have a new training now. In this moment, what do I feel like doing? Right now. No, not vacation, right now, in this moment. All right.
Mhm.
This is why vacation to me doesn't even make sense, because everything is the same to me. I like it. I'm always doing highest excitement. Step 3 is you always maintain that positive outlook, right, while you're doing this. And so let's say you call the friend and you get into, you're bickering. All right. So in that moment, you can say to yourself, this is a tool. This is uncomfortable. However, I know it's for the highest good of us all. And it's gonna bring something positive out. That's just a nice overall belief. Okay. Step 4, I'm going through the steps on purpose, is you let go of the attachment. Like, oh, I had attachment that we were gonna have a great call and then we were gonna go see a movie or whatever.
Mhm.
Just know that whatever's happening is exactly the most important thing that could be happening in this moment, even if you're cleaning the kitty litter, and that it's going exactly as it should, right? And then here we are at step 5, your belief. So let's say you're on the phone call with the friend and you're just like crushed because they're, you guys are bickering and you have that like gut feel, maybe you're a very sensitive person. I am. And your like stomach is dropping and your face gets red and you're like, and then, so either then, maybe you can't do it then because maybe you're in it. Later, say, now, wait a minute. Here's the tool. What must I believe to be true to freak out when I'm on the phone with my friend and they're mad at me or we're bickering, or what is my belief? Okay. And then get quiet and be open to what comes. It might come then, might come later. And most likely it's something like, as Dr. Nick said, almost always I'm not good enough, right? I'm not good enough. And if they don't like, now they're not going to like me, or they're, I'm going to be, you'll have this whole story, right, that you've made up in your head. But if you change the filter to, okay, this is uncomfortable, don't fake it. Do not fake it. Feel the feeling, 15 seconds, and then say, but I am a good person and I do like this friend and we'll work it out. Or maybe you realize, wait a minute, I actually don't even like this friend. We don't have the same core beliefs. And that was a wonderful belief to uncover because maybe you let them get off the bus. Does this make sense?
That all makes perfect sense. And you couldn't have laid it out any easier for people to understand the process of the conscious creation model, but then specifically how we can target our beliefs, challenge them, and then move forward with that knowledge of being, is this the right way to think, or oh, that's silly, I need to be more aware of how I need to move things going forward. And I think I have very similar learning tools, or tools to like leave, not similar tools, but I also have a couple of tips for our audience to walk away with. And the first thing is similar to what you just mentioned, is awareness. It's important to be aware of those beliefs that we have. And typically, what's worked for me is either journaling or being mindful, and specifically targeting what our inner critic is saying, challenging what it's saying. And so writing it down or just having those thoughts come to your brain through meditation and mindfulness is a great way to become aware of certain beliefs that you have. Number 2, reframe. So let's let go of some of the patterns that we've had in the past that have been very self-limiting and destructive in many ways. And let's change that mindset from I'm not worthy to be here to all the experiences of my life have made me worthy to be exactly where I am. And then step number 3, daily repetition, emotional anchoring. This doesn't just happen overnight. You need to continuously reinforce those new patterns that you're trying to create with affirmations, with visualization. Remember, a lot of these beliefs have been ingrained in us for 20, 30, 40 years. That doesn't just change overnight. The thoughts about it can change, but it's easy for us to slip back into those patterns because our nervous system is so used to it. And so to fully make our way to the desired reality and to the highest frequency we choose to be in, we need to put in daily repetition, daily work. And before you know it, the reality right in front of you will change to be the reality that your heart truly desires.
And on step 3, what he just said, step 3, why would you choose otherwise? It feels better. See, that's the thing. Your critic will be like, but we've always done it this way. Just get under the covers with me and eat some Ben and Jerry's and we can be sad together. It's like, no, and you know what? Your critic is you, so love your critic and just say, be real light about it. Go, no thanks, no thanks. Also, really important, and Nick, you've said this before and I'm going to reiterate it. It's so funny because I believe it was on our last podcast we were talking about this, and it's so a part of who I am that I just assumed erroneously that people just do this. Of course, not all people. Take time to be by yourself. Okay, I don't care if you have to wake up an hour earlier. I famously wake up very early and have for decades because I have 5 kids, and that's the only time that I have to myself, and I love it. You need quiet time off of screens, off of any kind of any stimulus. Okay, get in nature, walk on the grass, walk on the beach, sit next to a tree. Trees are amazing. Any of these things that speak to you, do them and do them daily. And I don't want to hear, I can't do it daily. Of course you can. Just do it. And don't try, do. So when people say, well, I'm trying, I say, that does nothing. So just do it. And your critic tells you to try because your critic goes, well, just try. Because your critic is saying, if you do it and you don't do it right, you'll look stupid. Okay? That's not true. And the more scared you are, everybody, the closer you are to letting it go. Because your critic freaks out and amps it up. And it's like, you're going to look like such an idiot and you're going to be homeless and living under a bridge and you will have no friends. This is what critics say. And just say, no, thanks. That's it.
Love it. Well, look, I appreciate everybody that's tuning in and listening to today's podcast. We're truly grateful to have you guys here with us. And Taylor, always a pleasure to be able to talk with you and absorb all the beautiful language and knowledge that you give us. And until next time, peace. Jess, you there?
Should we do short ones?
I think we're okay today, but that's a good point. But I think things came out. I don't know. It's just, are you there? Like, we're still live. I don't know if she just like disappeared. Hold on, let me see.
I wish we had a question from somebody.
I know. It would be. But yeah, let me just see where she's at. Wait.
I like your t-shirt.
Actually, my power just completely went out in the house. I'm not sure what to do. What do you guys? Oh, so she. Okay, so we can just.
Oh, cool! How exciting!
Let's stop.
This is exciting.
Oh, okay. I know.
You know how to do it?
I don't know. Well, because she's the producer right now, so
yeah.
Let me just give her a call. Let me see.
All right, I'll just keep talking. If we're live, I'll just talk to people.
Well, we can leave. We can leave. You know what I mean? So let's leave.
All right.
Because I can't.
Well, but everybody should know that. Okay. Hi. I guess I'm the only one live. So bye. This is exciting.